So for those of you not aware of the reports we've had for the SE4 so far, basically it's been a whirlwind of rumours, because initially there were rumours regarding this being based on the Mini, which of course is what I wanted. I still think the mini size has a chance at succeeding at a lower price, but then Ming-Chi Kuo told us no, that's not going to be the case. The iPhone XR design is going to be adopted instead, and I was not a fan of this, but ultimately this was an improvement over the SE3 regardless, so I'll take it. However, then Ming-Chi Kuo told us a few weeks back, let's scrap everything, let's forget about the SE4, it's being cancelled. And yeah, Apple had some concerns over the success of a future SE4. So yeah, I thought that was it. No more budget iPhones in the works, and that was that. But now Ming-Chi Kuo tells us, no, Apple's actually resumed development for the SE4 and we could see it launch very, very soon. And to spice things up even further, Kuo tells us this would be a minor modification of the iPhone 14, and so that would be a big upgrade over what we've heard so far, because remember the last reports were suggesting this would be an iPhone XR, but now we could get OLEDs, the new flat design, thinner bezels, MagSafe, a much newer chip, and also dual cameras. Now this is very surprising news because the iPhone 14 is still the latest iPhone Apple sells, and we should see the SE4 launch around March 2024, so even then, only the iPhone 15 would have been released, and the iPhone 14 would still be a pretty new iPhone, and so taking that as the base for the SE4 is pretty cool, because in the past, of course, the SEs had much older designs. I mean, for comparison, the SE3, which launched in 2022, has the same design as the iPhone 8, and that released back in 2017, which in itself is a design from 2014, and so the fact the SE is getting such a modern design is pretty good news. However, I don't want to get too excited because Apple could pull an iPad 10 on us and give us that new design, but maybe with a big compromise and also maybe a much higher price. Because yes, I'm pretty sure this won't be $400, heck you can't even find the iPhone 13 for that kind of price, and so I doubt the SE4 is going to be that inexpensive, and that does worry me because we don't know if this will get a new chip, but let's say it doesn't. If this has the same A15 chip inside, what's the advantage of getting this over the iPhone 13, which of course is going to continue dropping in price and has very similar specs? And so yes, for the high price this should sell out. I'm hoping there are chip upgrades. Of course, in the past the SE has always got the newest flagship chip, but I don't think Apple could do that with the SE4 because the design is going to be very similar on the outsides, and so they're going to have to compromise on the performance, and so yeah, I don't understand why you should buy this if it's that expensive. Now Ross Young hints that maybe BOE's panels are going to help reduce the cost, and it could maybe get to $499, that would be nice, but again I do have my doubts, and overall while I'm glad the SE4 is getting a redesign, it could convolute the lineup. And that's why I've been saying a 13 mini based SE makes sense, because for one, it'll be a completely different size, which I think is needed because we already have too many 6.1 inch iPhones, and so an SE4 that's also 6.1 inches makes this mess even worse, and I think it would be confusing for consumers to have so many similar sized iPhones in the range, whereas an SE4 being 5.4 inches, that would be perfect because the 13 mini is likely to be killed off next year, so that means there will be no small sized modern looking iPhone in the range, and so the SE4 could fill that spot. Also remember, SE phones in general have been pretty compact, and yes, I know the mini size is not for everyone, but do remember that of course Apple ideally wants you to buy the higher end models, and so if you pay $100 more to get the iPhone 15 or 16 and get the bigger display, that's a win for Apple, so yes, the mini size does make sense. But honestly, I'm pretty sure the mini size would have been so much more popular if the price was much lower, because refurb 12 minis at around $450 sells out pretty often, so that in my opinion is a sign the SE mini could make sense. Also, like Evan points out, the build of material cost for the mini is going to be cheaper compared to, of course, a regular sized iPhone, and so this could be easier to bring down to $450 or $399. But either way guys, I'm glad the SE4 is getting a new design at last, and actually it seems Apple's main motivation with the SE is to release and test its new 5G modems. So back when we thought the SE4 was cancelled, there were reports that maybe Apple's modems were facing overheating issues and might be postponed, and Qualcomm would continue to produce Apple's modems. But now Qualcomm's CEO himself says Apple's actually going to be switching to their own modems by next year, and that's what Minchiko now tells us. So that is likely the big reason the SE4's been uncancelled. So yeah, the SE4 should be the first iPhone to get Apple's new 5G modem, and this should apparently only support sub 6 GHz bands, and so it makes sense why they're releasing on the SE first, since do remember the higher end iPhones do also support millimeter wave and satellite connectivity, which Apple of course might not have the tech to do just yet, and so testing the waters with the SE4 first definitely makes the most sense. Also remember the current SE actually does only support sub 6 bands, and so the SE4 matching this is perfectly fine. But that news does kind of surprise me that Apple's actually choosing the iPhone 14 design, because do remember the reason the SE3 does not support millimeter wave is because the rounded chassis does not really work well with millimeter wave bands. Remember on the iPhone 12 and up, there is a cutout on the sides, and you need a flat design to achieve that, hence why the rumoured iPhone 15s don't have a drastic redesign, and that's because Apple's kind of stuck using the flat design. But anyways, with the iPhone SE4 adopting this, since there is this limitation with the modem, the 10R design would have been perfect, but I guess Apple wants a more modern design for the SE. Anyways, Quo does say these modems are going to be produced on a 4nm process, and also if everything works well with the SE4, they could expand this chip to the Apple Watch and the iPads, which apparently have lower technical requirements, and so yeah, maybe we see 5G on the Apple Watch, and the iPads that should get this are going to be the lower end models, because remember the Pros, they have millimeter wave that Apple can't do just yet with their own modems. So yes, in a year or two, Apple's mid-range and low-end devices could switch to their modems, and then of course once they figure out millimeter wave and satellite connectivity and make these chips as good as Qualcomm's, they switch the complete range. And guys, I can't lie, I'm pretty excited about the potential of Apple modems, because these could be very efficient and they could drastically improve battery life on 5G, because when you go outside and you start using cellular data, the iPhone's battery life immediately goes dropping down. So if that could be fixed, and it could be as good as battery life when using Wi-Fi on the device, that would be excellent. And actually, I just remembered, since the R&D cost for the modem is going to be very high, I'm assuming that's going to be passed on to us, the consumers, with a higher price. So yes, really hoping the price is not too bad. But anyways, tell me your thoughts regarding this report in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. And on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one.